Welcome to English Conversation Café. Learn English through natural conversations.
Okay, so this actually happened to me last week. I was at a networking event. You know, one of those things where everyone's in business casual and trying to look important.
Oh no, I already don't like where this is going.
Someone walks up to me, total stranger, big smile, and they go, "So, tell me about yourself."
And?
I just stood there, like a lamp.
You stood there like a lamp?
I said, and I quote, "I'm a person."
That's your answer? I'm a person?
In my defense, it's technically accurate.
Haley, you speak English natively. Like English is your first language.
Okay, I know. But tell me about yourself is terrifying. It's like, what do you even say? Everything? Nothing. Your whole life story in 30 seconds.
You completely froze.
I completely froze. And then I said, I'm a person, and I walked straight to the snack table.
You walked to the snack table.
There were very good mini quiches.
Okay. Welcome to English Conversation Café. I'm Max.
And I'm Haley, a person.
And today, we are talking about how to talk about yourself in English. Not the textbook, robotic version, the real, natural version.
Because whether you're at a job interview, meeting someone at a party, or just making conversation, this comes up all the time. And most people freeze, even native speakers, apparently.
So by the end of this episode, you'll have real phrases you can actually use. Not, my name is, I am from, I like football. The good stuff.
The stuff that makes people go, ooh, interesting. Tell me more.
If you're new here, welcome. We'd love for you to subscribe and hit the like button. It helps more learners find the show, and it means a lot to us.
We drop new episodes every week, so you don't want to miss the next one. All right, let's get into it.
So, can I start with something? When I used to work with adult learners, I heard this again and again. Max, I know the vocabulary, I know the grammar, but when someone asks me about myself, I just panic.
Right, because it's one thing to do an exercise in a textbook. It's a completely different thing to talk about your actual real life in another language, in the moment.
Exactly. And here's what I noticed. The problem usually isn't vocabulary. It's that most people have only been taught one way to do it. The list.
The list?
I am 25 years old. I am from Brazil. I am an engineer. I like music. Like a resume, but slower and sadder.
I've heard that. It sounds like a robot filling out a government form.
But native speakers don't talk like that. We add small things, a little context, a little personality, a tiny story. It's not about saying more. It's about saying it differently.
Yeah, like, instead of just, I'm from Texas, you might say, I grew up in Texas, but I've always been more of a city person. That one sentence tells you so much more.
It gives someone something to hold on to, something to respond to. It opens a door.
Instead of just handing someone a fact sheet and waiting.
So today, we're going to open some doors. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. You meet someone. What do you say first?
There's usually a greeting, right? Hi, I'm Haley. Most people have that part.
Right. And then it gets complicated. Because the natural next move is to say where you're from. And this is where the textbook version really shows.
Because textbooks teach, I'm from country. Full stop. End of sentence. Awkward silence.
But in real conversation, we add a small detail. So instead of, I'm from France, you might hear someone say, I'm originally from France, but I've been living in Canada for a few years now.
Ooh, yes. I'm originally from. That sounds so much more natural. It tells you where they started and where they are now. In one breath.
And it gives the other person something to work with. Oh, Canada. Whereabouts? Or, oh, France. I went to Paris last year. Suddenly there's a conversation.
So, first phrase to remember, instead of I'm from X, try I'm originally from X.
And you can follow it with, but I grew up in, if they're different. Like, I'm originally from South Korea, but I grew up in New Zealand. That's a whole interesting story in one sentence.
I grew up in is so useful. And it's not just about geography. You can use it for personality too. Like, I grew up in a really small town, so big cities still kind of freak me out a little.
That tells me your personality, not just your address.
Exactly. You're not just sharing information, you're letting people in a little bit. There's a difference.
So we have I'm originally from and I grew up in for talking about where you come from. Now, what about what you do? Because that's usually the very next question.
And a lot of learners just say the job title. I am a nurse, which is fine, but a tiny detail makes it feel real.
Like, I work as a nurse, which is exhausting, but honestly, I love it. You've shared your job and how you feel about it in one sentence.
Or, I'm in marketing, which basically means I spend my days convincing people they need things they definitely don't need. Self-aware, funny, memorable.
One personal detail. Just one, not five. That's all it takes.
And honestly, people remember the detail more than the job title. Like, I genuinely cannot remember what half the people I've met at events actually do. But I remember the guy who said he spent 3 years teaching English in Japan.
Exactly. The detail is the story. The job title is just a label.
So don't be afraid to share something small and human. It doesn't have to be deep, just real.
Right. And if you're worried about saying the wrong thing, don't. You can always recover. You can say, how do I explain this? And that already sounds natural. Learners sometimes think they have to be perfect. You don't.
Nobody is perfect in real conversation, not even native speakers. The goal is to connect, not to perform.
Okay. And for hobbies and interests, here's a phrase I use all the time. I'm into. I'm into is so natural and casual. I'm into photography. I'm really into hiking right now. I'm kind of into learning languages lately. It just sounds like something a real person says.
Versus, I have the hobby of photography.
Nobody in the history of conversation has said that.
Nobody, ever. I'm into is your friend. Use it constantly.
All right, we're going to play a game. It's called Robot versus Real.
Okay, so here's how it works. Max reads a textbook-style self-introduction. Very correct, very robotic. And I transform it into something a real human would actually say.
Ready for round one?
Born ready.
Hello, my name is David. I am 30 years old. I am from Spain. I am a graphic designer. I like art and cooking. It is nice to meet you.
Robot detected. Okay, let me fix David.
Go for it.
Hey, I'm David. I'm originally from Spain, but I've been living in London for about 3 years now. I work in graphic design, which I love. On top of that, I've really been getting into cooking lately, so I'm basically a little obsessed with food right now. Same information, completely different energy.
So what actually changed?
He said where he lives now, not just where he's from. He added, which I love, so we know how he feels. And on top of that, to add his hobby smoothly instead of just listing it.
On top of that, I love that phrase. It's such a natural connector. It says, and here's one more interesting thing about me, without sounding like a numbered list.
Exactly. It flows. Okay, round 2?
I am Maria. I am a student. I study economics. I am shy but friendly. I like music.
Oh, Maria. Okay. Maria might actually say, Hi, I'm Maria. I'm studying economics right now, which is kind of intense. I'd say I'm pretty introverted, but once I get comfortable with people, I honestly talk way too much. And I'm really into music. Like, I have a playlist for literally every mood.
See, that Maria I want to talk to.
Right? And the key phrase she used, I'd say I'm pretty introverted, not just I am shy. That one tiny change makes it feel so much more natural.
It sounds like self-awareness, like you've actually thought about who you are.
And I'd say I'm leaves a little room. It's not a hard statement, it's an invitation. It feels like the start of a conversation, not the end of one.
I love that. I'd say remember that one.
Okay, so we've covered background, job, personality, interests, but there is one thing I think is the single most important skill when talking about yourself:
What's that?
knowing when to stop and ask.
Say more.
You know that person who talks about themselves for 5 minutes straight and then the conversation just dies? Because they never gave you a turn. You've heard their whole life story and they don't even know your name.
We have all been stuck in that conversation.
The fix is so simple. You just end with, What about you? 3 words, genuinely life-changing.
What about you? Turns a monologue into a real conversation. And it's not just polite. It shows confidence. It says you're comfortable. You're interested in the other person.
Like, you do your thing. I'm originally from Vietnam. I've been here for 2 years. I'm really into photography. What about you? And suddenly, you're having an actual back and forth.
Learners sometimes skip this because they're so focused on getting their own sentences right. But honestly, asking, what about you, is what makes people like you. It's that simple.
Okay, here's something I want to add. Because we've been talking about casual conversation, but tell me about yourself also shows up in job interviews. And that's a different kind of panic entirely.
A whole different tier of panic. But the good news is, the same expressions still work. You just point them in a slightly more professional direction.
Right, like, I'm originally from still works. I'd say I'm someone who still works. On top of that, I also have experience in perfect for an interview.
The structure is the same. You share a little about your background, what you do, how you feel about it, and something that makes you, you. Then you connect it to why you're there.
The phrases travel. You learn them once, you use them everywhere.
And here's a small thing a lot of people miss. Your tone and your energy matter as much as the actual words. If you say, I'm originally from Brazil, in a flat monotone, it lands very differently than if you say it with a little warmth.
Yes. You can say the exact same sentence 2 different ways, and one version feels closed off, and the other feels open and friendly. The words are the same. The human part is different.
So as you practice these phrases, also practice smiling a little when you say them, letting the energy come through. That's honestly what makes people want to keep talking to you.
And I know practicing can feel a little awkward at first, but say it out loud. In your bedroom, in front of a mirror, to your dog, whatever works. The more you say it, the more natural it feels.
I have definitely practiced conversations in the shower before.
Same. Shower practice is so underrated for language learning.
I think the real takeaway from today is this. Talking about yourself isn't about performing. It's about connecting. You share a little, you invite a little. Back and forth.
Like a conversation at a cafe, maybe.
Exactly like that.
Okay, we want to hear from you. Here is today's question for the comments.
When you meet someone new, in English or in your own language, what's one thing you always like to mention about yourself?
Is it your job? A hobby? Where you grew up? Something random and unexpected? Tell us in the comments. We read every single one.
And if you want to practice, write your own natural self-introduction down there using the phrases from today. We would genuinely love to read them. All right, it's time for the Cafe Rewind. We go back through the best expressions from today's conversation.
6 expressions, clear examples, and then you repeat. Let's go.
Expression number 1. I'm originally from.
Use this instead of just, I'm from. It sounds more natural and it gives people context. For example, I'm originally from Colombia, but I've been living in Germany for 2 years.
Your turn. Say it. I'm originally from.
Expression number 2. I grew up.
Use this to talk about your background, where you lived, how you were raised, what shaped you. For example, I grew up in a really small village, so big cities still surprise me sometimes.
Repeat after me. I grew up.
Expression number 3. I'm into.
A casual, natural way to talk about your interests. So much better than, I have the hobby of. For example, I'm really into hiking. I try to go every weekend.
Your turn. I'm into.
Expression number 4. I'd say I'm.
Use this when you describe your personality. It sounds thoughtful and natural, not like you're reading a list. For example, I'd say I'm a pretty social person, but I also really need my alone time.
Repeat. I'd say I'm.
Expression number 5. On top of that.
A smooth way to add more information without making it sound like a list. For example, I work as a teacher. On top of that, I also run a small YouTube channel on the weekends.
Say it. On top of that.
And expression number 6, my personal favorite.
What is it?
What about you?
The 3 most powerful words in conversation.
Use it at the end of your self-introduction to turn the whole thing into a real conversation. For example, I'm really into baking. I try a new recipe every weekend. What about you?
Repeat after us. What about you? So, Haley,
Why do I feel like something is about to happen to me?
someone just walked into the cafe. Total stranger. Big smile. They look right at you and say, "So, tell me about yourself."
Okay. Hi, I'm Haley. I'm originally from Texas, but I've been living in a slightly chaotic apartment in the city for a few years now.
Good. Keep going.
I work in communications, and I'd say I'm someone who talks too much, which honestly turned out to be a career skill. I'm really into comedy and languages. On top of that, I co-host an English podcast, which is a little random, but I genuinely love it. What about you?
That was perfect.
I did it! I didn't freeze! I didn't go to the snack table!
No mini quiches were harmed.
I am a changed person. This is what growth looks like, people.
That is the goal of English Conversation Café. One self-introduction at a time.
Seriously, though, if today helped you, please subscribe and give us a like. It means so much to us, and it helps more learners find the show.
Drop your own self-introduction in the comments. We really do read them, and we'd love to hear yours.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today. We'll see you next week at the cafe.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you for listening. We hope today's conversation helped you understand real English better. Subscribe and join us for the next episode.